and friends. Welcome. I'm John Lyons, here as always with Ronni Newton, the managing editor. I gave you the wrong title last week. I think I promoted you. I said you were the managing director last week. So you're the managing editor of WeHow.com. I didn't notice it until I watched the replay. So whoops, I promoted Ronni. So, but that's okay. You deserve a promotion. So
I don't think we have a managing director, so no one's going to get confused.
I'm sorry?
I said I don't think we have anybody who would be called a managing director, so no one will be confused.
Not yet anyway. So one day. So anyway, we have three great guests, one of which is going to be on a little later. But our two guests right now, we've got Marci Moreau. Marci is the owner of Naked Baking Ladies. She is a favorite of mine because she's a foodie, and I, the old live to eat versus eat to live, which we're going to debate here in a few minutes. But she is a foodie of the first order. And then we've got Jeannette Dardenne. Jeannette is a partner in the marketing group, the food marketing group, In Group. And so we're going to be talking about food, which is a favorite topic of mine. And Ronni, I don't know how you feel about food, but
I love food.
I love food.
Yeah.
So
no, I do love food.
So once Ronni gives me the all clear here, I'll start with the intense questioning that is coming both of your way. So brace yourselves. So we're just waiting on Ronni to give me the all clear here.
And we are on Neighbors and Friends. And should I put it on the political page? Any place else
Sure.
I should go?
I like it. Yeah, Rocky and Sandy appreciate that. So sure. We're going to have a game for the audience tonight. It's guess who has the dead battery in the fire detector. You have to guess which of the four of us has the beeping in the background. Nobody tell. So it's a contest. There's no prize, but we are going to have that contest tonight. So, and I'll announce it a few times throughout. We'll see if people can figure out who has the battery replacement need in his or her smoke detector.
So I will probably have a barking dog eventually. So.
Okay. We'll play that game as well. We'll do the barking dog game.
Okay, I'm gonna have barking.
She's out on a walk with.
Okay. All right. Ronni, when you give me the all clear,
we are ready to go.
All right. Awesome. Thank you all for coming. We're going a little different direction this week. We're going to be talking about food, which is a subject, as my wife will tell you, very near and dear to me, maybe a little too near and dear. So, I'm going to start with the tough questions for Marci. Marci, eat to live or live to eat, and why?
Wow, that it's actually not that tough.
Can you do them all?
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to say I'm going to take the safe road, and I'm going to say both. I mean, we definitely eat to live, and we live to eat. And when you're a foodie, and when you're somebody who loves food for health, for wellness, for all of it, you do all of the above. And what I'm going to say is, when you're eating the right foods, it's okay to do both.
No, I agree, and I want to start off on a light note. So Marci, every day you run, or every Monday to Friday, typically you have a show. It's the Superfood Power Hour, and you broadcast it on your channel on Facebook. So I encourage people to follow Marci Moreau and you can see the spelling of her name in the crawl below. Follow her on Facebook, because I got to tell you, first of all, I've learned so much in the last 6 weeks watching your food shows. Like, just about how food can impact health, but also how good foods that I think I perceived as being bad, I'm using air quotes. You made a roast the other day that was phenomenal. Tell us about the roast, and tell us why.
That was incredible.
It was wonderful. I wanted to try it. I didn't get to try it, obviously, but tell us about that. Tell us about how it helps your immune system.
So the name of the show is Superpower Hour, and it's all about using superfoods to heal your body and your mind, to pump up our bodies. And our health and wellness has a lot to do with our physical aspect and our emotional aspect. And ironically, I have been doing this research for 28 years. I mean, I've been standing on a soapbox long before anybody wanted to hear me. When people were throwing tomatoes, nobody cared about healthy food. Years ago, it really wasn't the popular way to be. So I've been doing this for a long, long time. And it's interesting because these foods that are healthy and good for you are also amazing. But what we're doing now during COVID, when this happened, I was just in New York in November and was certified for nutrition and integrative medicine for mental health specifically. My graduate degree, ironically, is in psychology. So all this body-mind stuff has always been big with me. And this was before, in November, we didn't really hear about COVID. And now what's going on, it's so important that we are pumping up our bodies physically, but also this is having an emotional toll and will continue to have emotional toll on so many, every generation. I mean, small children who are, their development is being altered, adults who are sitting here with just a host of anxieties, teenagers who are missing out on milestones. I mean, so the whole body-mind connection and using food is so important now. And it's just something that I've always embraced. But what I did is I take recipes that a lot of people think would be traditional. And I show people how we can superpower them up, how we can make them better, how we can make them healthy. Now, beef tenderloin, a lot of people usually would look at, oh, I don't want to eat a lot of beef. I don't want to. So I actually took this and made it for my daughter Rachel's birthday and encrusted it, put in and crust on it with herbs. So we had rosemary on it, we had parsley, we had some basil. Now all those herbs have medicinal properties. I used a breadcrumb mixture that was an organic quinoa flax bread that I made my own breadcrumbs. And then I always use my superpower Mirepoix, which you know, John, from watching the show, is a combination of ginger root, turmeric root, and garlic. Like it is incredibly powerful. I tell people to, you know, pump that in your body as much as you can. I eat it on different ingredients, different dishes, probably 5 times a day.
Corn today, if I'm not mistaken.
Put it on corn. I made a super street corn, and
corn looked amazing. Why do they? I want to come back to what the properties are. Why do they call that street corn? I was wondering that watching the show.
Well, street corn is just street food. It's just a term in European countries that was used for food that was sold on the street in the markets, kind of like our aspect in the United States of food trucks. So it's just called street food, and that's just a corn in Italy and Mexico that often is sold, and it's actually in a little paper towel, sometimes a cardboard thing, and you just walk around the streat and eat it.
Yeah, like so you can. Sometimes it has the end of the cob on it, so that you can hold on to it.
Exactly. Yeah.
It looked, Ronni, I don't know if you got to watch the show or not. I know you were exceptionally busy today, but it looked amazing. And I've learned if I'm going to watch Marci's show, I do it on a full stomach. Otherwise, you know, I do the John Lyons version, which is usually Oreo cookies or ice cream or something.
Oh, John, just toss it.
I'm kidding. I said to Marci on one of her shows, I said, is 6 Oreos per sitting, is that considered a moderate serving? And
so what do you say about me still drinking coffee at 6:08 p.m.?
Oh boy.
Actually, you know, coffee does have a lot of nutritional value. So depending what you're putting in your coffee, it's not
it's black. I drink black coffee.
Yeah, and I mean, coffee has some value.
In Ronni, in your defense, it's 6:08 for us who actually go to bed at 10 or 11 o'clock at night. But for those that go to bed at 3 a.m. after writing 6 stories, it's really like a noon coffee.
Right.
So you're good.
Well,
you're good for another 3 or 4 hours. So Marci, all right. So
I'm still drinking coffee, actually.
So let me take you back to, and I'm sorry, it's garlic.
We've got Sally Bob's, and we've got Law Firm.
I'm sorry, I talked over you the entire time, and I apologize for that. I couldn't hear you, so I'm sorry. So, Marci, the turmeric, garlic, and what?
And ginger root.
And what is that called again?
So I just coined this phrase. So originally I was calling it, when I first started and developed this, it's a base that I use in all my food products. So my sauces, my barbecue sauces, it's in everything that I have commercial, you know, being sold commercially. And it's I call it a naked Mirepoix. I'm actually doing some rebranding. So I changed the name to a superpower Mirepoix, and Mirepoix is really just it's a base, and it's a French term for like a foundation of a recipe. It's different things from different countries. In Italy, sometimes they'll start with maybe onions, garlic, and something else. And France, it's celery, onions, and carrots. So I kind of came up with my own superpower culinary version of a Mirepoix. And I'm doing a new production run and introducing a whole bunch of new products, and I'm trying to get this produced. The only problem I'm having now is it would be a refrigerated product because it can't be shelf stable. All these ingredients are fresh, and you want them to be that way. I mean, I use the actual root, and I can't tell you just a combination of foods that are more amazing. And when, together, they are even more powerful. So what is that phrase that Aristotle said? The sum is greater than its parts. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And it's because of this concept called food synergy. So food synergy is we have three things that have this high ORAC value, we call it, a high antioxidant value. But when you put that together, it even pumps it up even more because of the combination and the interaction between the antioxidants and the nutrients and the minerals and the phytonutrients that are in there. I mean, it's very cool how food works and what it can do for you. I mean, it could be your friend. It totally can just be a game changer for a lot of people.
Ronni, I don't want to cut you off. Any questions, or should I keep rolling? Or
well, no. Well, so I guess that kind of brings me to kind of an obvious question. So we're living through a time when people are quarantined in their homes. The temptation is, maybe like John said, to eat a lot of Oreos or, comfort foods. You're feeling bad for yourself. You're feeling sad. What can eating healthfully do for you? Not only to kind of help you mentally and help you just feel better during this time, but also to keep your body as healthy as possible so that if, you, God forbid, are exposed to COVID-19, will help you, maybe fight it off, will help boost your immunity so that if you do get sick, maybe being healthier and eating right can help you have a milder case or, fight it off.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's exactly, the intent of always doing this. But, what these foods are going to do. I mean, our big concern right now is everyone's talking about it, if they didn't before, is our immune system. I mean, that's our best defense. And moving forward, we are living in a world with a virus that is kind of this invisible enemy, but right now we don't have a vaccine. So truly what we have is our immune system. That's our best defense right now. And we have to pump it up. And there's been some research. I do a lot of more formal research, and the research, even in the past couple weeks, if anyone wanted to look this up, it's good to read, good to know, but it's pointing to a lot of these foods and vitamins are actually specifically honing in on viruses and COVID viruses. Now, the COVID-19 virus is a novel virus. So moving forward, we would need more research to say it works specifically. But even if we look at foods like vitamin D or certain types of antioxidants like oleic acid, those specifically are coming out with the research in the past couple of weeks that are assisting people that have acute respiratory, ARDS, the acute respiratory distress syndrome. So what is unfortunately killing a lot of people with COVID is these lung issues. And the research is looking at that and saying higher levels of vitamin D. Now, vitamin D is hard to find in food. You can get that in some mushrooms, but what that means is we have to get outside. We have to make sure we're getting sunshine. I advise people, any people that are coming to see me is right now take vitamin D. If you didn't before, there's a test you can get to figure out your levels, and you want to be within certain levels, depending on your age and weight and gender and all that. But yeah, so there is a lot that you basically can do with food to, pump up your immune system right now. And that's what we need to do. I mean, definitely foods with vitamin E. You're going to want the zinc. It's great to take supplements, but your body responds better. The bioavailability, how your body responds and can utilize these nutrients, are always better when they come from whole foods. So now, yes, take the supplements because we're in a health crisis, but definitely, use this time to alter your diet and get as strong as we can for, the upcoming fall, the winter months, because it's going to make a huge difference.
So I have a couple of questions for you based on comments I've picked up on some of your broadcasts. Number one, is GMO always, or genetically modified food always bad? Is it a black and white thing, or are there instances where it's okay? I don't know. I'm curious.
Yeah. So interestingly, when genetically modified foods were developed, the intent was positive. The intent was to be able to produce more food, to be able to provide a food supply for our country and other countries and third world countries. But like anything, the uses sometimes get skewed and turn into a negative. So right now, the genetically modified foods are, unfortunately, the food industry, and this COVID crisis could change that. It really could change a lot of that. Has kind of taken advantage of genetically modified foods. So I just advise people at this point to, yes, stay away from them, because what happens is, for instance, we're not quite sure how manipulating DNA can impact when it gets into our bodies, and what it would do to our own DNA. So the best advice I could say is, when you can right now, and most of the time you can, is just stay away from it.
Okay. Extra virgin olive oil, which I love. Jessica makes a great salad dressing. You make a great salad dressing. I watched you today make one, or was it today or yesterday? I'm getting my days.
I don't know. I use olive oil all the time.
Yeah. So talk about some of the health, because olive oil is something that's probably in all of our households and probably in 99% of the households here in town. What are some of the really good benefits to your immune system of using extra virgin olive oil?
So it's going to be like a healthier fat. So it's heart healthy, it's all of that. So a lot of these foods are not only doing great things for your immune system, but for your entire body. So, I mean, cardiac health is big, skin health is big, liver health is big. I mean, we want, and it sounds like everyone, we just want to talk about our immune system right now, which is very important. But even having foods that impact your liver in a positive way is a great thing, because our liver is going to detox our body. And even if we do have happen to come in contact with this virus and don't get incredibly sick, but get sick enough that we might need to our body to detox and purify better. There's a lot of things that happen within a viral process that messes up our whole homeostasis. And what can happen is we can have more like free radicals, more oxidative damage. We want our liver to be able to work. So olive oil is going to do all of that. It's a great thing. But specifically, one of the best things is olive oil is a great source of that oleic acid that I just was talking about. So that tends to protect people and people that also could be predisposed and have any kind of COPD and asthma. So coming in contact with this virus, what some of the newer research is, and they have done research on other viruses, other type of SARS viruses, other viruses that would impact your respiratory. Just COVID-19, it hasn't been done yet because we're just 2-3 months into this. So we'll have more information, but I'm willing to bet and willing to wager pretty much anything that it's going to have a positive impact. So basically, olive oil is going to pump up your immune system. Not to get too weirdly science on you, but your immune system is full of all kind of fighter cells. So it helps those fighter cells fight better. And it has a kind of a respiratory protection mechanism. So
Marci, if God forbid, if one of us wakes up,
I can't hear. I'm not hearing. Is there some?
Oh, nope. Let's try it again. Can you hear me now? Let me see what's up. We lost Jeannette, got her back. Let's see if there was a problem. Marci, can you hear me now?
I think you muted me. I can't hear.
Okay, that's weird.
I can hear her. Can you hear me, Marci?
Your mic is muted. Okay, wait.
No, I just mute and unmuted. Can you hear me now? Nope, we lost her. All right,
now we lost her.
All right, so we're having technical difficulties because we lost Jeannette there for a second. And so I do have more questions for Marci, but for now, let's pivot over to Jeannette. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm sorry, I'm hiding from my family, so that's why I was moving around before.
I saw
I
you
think
moving
it was
around. I
on
was
the
afraid
floor
it
of
was
your
like a
house.
horror
You have a
movie or
beautiful
something.
house. So I didn't expect a house tour tonight. I think it's a good thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
so Jeannette, tell us a little bit about what In-Group Creative does.
So we are a public relations and marketing company, and we work with food, beverage, and lifestyle brands. We're most known for working with food and beverage because of our social media through Eat in Connecticut. That's where we do a lot of our community work. So we're pretty fortunate in that we get to work with some amazing chefs and restaurants and breweries and all kinds of places in Connecticut. And yeah, I really enjoy my job. I have a great business partner, Kristen, and she and I essentially get to eat and drink for a living. Kind of fun.
That's not a bad thing.
It is not a bad thing.
And I wish
I can't
Kristen
hear
could
you
be here
guys.
too. You should hold up a picture of her or something.
She's on the bike. She's
Yeah,
on the
we
bike
have-
that
yeah.
I used to promote. So she's on the back of the bike.
But we know we need to do the physical distancing, so you can't be, in the same little frame together right now. Hopefully one of these
I
days
know.
very soon.
And this is a really great platform. It's called Be Live, but one of the constraints is it only allows 4 people at a time. But I like it. The Zooms, I think, just get too busy, especially for what Ronni and I are doing here in terms of broadcasting. It's really more of a news event, and to have more people, it's just difficult. So please, no offense intended to your partner. So Ronni, why don't we do this? We got Marci back. Let's pivot back to her and wrap up with her, and then we'll head back over to Jeannette, if that's all right, Jeannette. And I'm sure you guys might have questions for each other too. So Marci, back to what I loved your answer on the olive oil. So that led to a question from me. If God forbid one of us wakes up and we've got the dry cough and we've got the telltale signs that we're in the beginning stages of COVID, is that too late to start, trying to really focus on the superfoods that are going to help boost your immune system? Is that too late? Did we lose her again? Yeah, she's having sound issues, isn't she? That's a bummer.
Marci, can you hear us? Marci?
That's a bummer. All right. Jeannette, we're going to come back to you, and Marci, we're going to figure this out. So I don't know what's happening.
Maybe you
This is
could text her or something and get
Yeah,
her
I will.
attention.
Yeah, do me a favor, Ronni. If you could take Jeannette for a minute, I'm going to do a little texting and try to figure out what's going on here.
That would
No
be
worries.
fine.
Ronni and I love talking.
We could talk all day, but people probably don't want to listen to our idle chatter. Although I'm going to call you later. Actually, I'd love to. There's some other things I want to talk to you about. But Jeannette, I think you really have a handle on the food industry in West Hartford and what's going on with our restaurants right now. I mean, this is really more of an economic discussion, but we are missing the vibrant restaurant scene so much. But what are you hearing from some of your clients, some of the restaurant owners in town, about what their plans are to, incorporate outdoor dining in addition to the takeout that they've been doing? Who do you think might be opening next week? Do you know?
I do. We actually talk to them quite regularly, and we actually, just to pivot for 1 second, we've been doing these State of the Food Ends through our Eat in Connecticut Instagram, and it's bringing the culinary industry together to talk about what's happening. And tonight we actually have the executive director, Scott Dole, executive director of the Connecticut Restaurant Association, on this evening. And he's going to be talking a lot about, the state and what he's doing and how you can support your restaurants. But going back to Ronnie's question, I think a lot of them are kind of unsure. They desperately want to get back to work because one, they have to keep their restaurants moving, right? 2, they also want to bring their staff back in. So many of these restaurateurs have to lay off, 10, 20, hundreds of individuals. They want to bring them back. And so, I think everyone's watching, the reports that, Ronni puts out and, following the new guidelines with covering the mask.
Oh, you can hear me?
Wearing face masks.
All right, I can't hear you. So text me the question.
Keep going.
We can hear you.
Okay, wearing face masks and, some of them are definitely going to try it. I think the zoning board has been very generous in helping some of these restaurants try to figure out how they can create
On my
more
computer,
space
right?
for themselves. And I think, it'll be interesting to see what the response is once the gates are somewhat opened, on May 20th. We're curious, how many people will feel comfortable enough to engage outdoors.
I'm looking.
So I am very anxious and ready to personally go out there and eat as soon as
All right, you
as
guys
soon
can
as
see
the
me.
first restaurant
I don't.
opens.
My computer
Um,
is fine.
I
All right,
keep hearing Marci talking.
I know.
So
Unfortunately, Marci she cannot hear us, but we are hearing her. Unfortunately, Jeanette, I'm sorry, we've not had this problem. So
maybe you should
Marci, too,
text her and
when you
ask her to
drop
not
off,
talk
we'll
right
reboot.
now.
Let's see if we can get you back. She can't hear us. Why am I saying that to her? I'm going to text her. So you guys keep rolling.
So anyway, so my
Sorry.
understanding, and actually, I talked
I think
to,
he said you guys can hear me, but I can't see. All right, I'll read it.
So the town actually just sent a notice to all the restaurants today, actually, and other businesses today, letting them know that the certification process has gone live now. So in order for any business to open next week, they need to complete the Department of Economic Development certification process and get a badge. So that includes all the restaurants. And that actually includes, I didn't realize this, but the restaurants that had outdoor dining previously still need to go through this process in order to reopen next week. And then all the kind of new options that the town is planning to make available, like extending use of the sidewalks, or use of parking lots, or use of parking spaces, or even parts of the roadways. That's all going to be unveiled next week.
Yeah.
But how are the restaurants excited about that? Or are they intimidated? Like, kind of what's the word on the street about it?
Honestly, we're hearing a lot of both. For the restaurants, I think what a lot of people don't realize is, a lot of these places have very small spaces that are outdoors, and there's a lot of mechanics in bringing their staff back in, making sure, one, that they're comfortable coming. There's obviously a fear of working, in the same space as someone else. And, is it financially feasible for a restaurant to bring people back in? If you're going to, let's say you wake up in the morning and, it's a beautiful day out, and you're getting ready for dinner service. You've got a couple people in, wait staff's excited, and all of a sudden the showers just come pouring out of the sky. And now your entire plans for dinner service have been completely ruined. So I think a lot of the restaurateurs are really trying to figure out, how many people can I bring back, but still manage any of these things that will happen beyond their control. How much food do I order? Because a lot of the restaurants, they order, on a weekly basis, on a daily basis. They change their menus based on what's available. So I think people are gonna have to be very patient, and with restaurants, and they're going to be, pivoting based on changes.
So, Jeanette, I'll jump in, and forgive me. I was dealing with a technical issue a little bit at the beginning. So if I repeat something, please just bluntly tell me I'm repeating something. Okay.
No.
So your job is really to help promote these businesses.
Yeah.
What are some of the creative things they are doing? What are some of the things they're telling you to do? And what are some of the things you're doing to try to help drive that takeout business, try to drive the attention?
Well, there's a lot of different things. I mean, we really work throughout the state. We're very fortunate in that way. So we get to see what's happening in West Hartford, what's happening in New Haven, what's happening in Manchester. Obviously delivery service, there's a lot of food delivery service options that are available. And so a lot of the delivery places like Waiter Wheels, they pivoted to no contact, right? So that's an option to help restaurants. I think we tell people that they just have to follow the guidelines, and they have to be open to change. They have to be ready to make a small detail, a quick, movement of, seating arrangements, and also be very vocal on social media. I think everybody's watching to see what's happening. And I think the more you can promote how you're helping your community, the more you can promote, what you're doing to keep your business afloat, the more you're going to appeal to potential potential diners.
So give me a best practice. What have you seen or done that you really think is being effective?
I think the big thing is honesty. Honestly, we tell everyone they have to be honest in what they're going through, and what they're trying to do to keep people safe. And people want that level of trust. They want that level of comfort, whether they're getting takeout from you or whether they're going to choose to dine with you after May 20th. It's important to showcase the best practices that you're using, that you've gotten your certifications, that you're training your staff to make sure that they have the proper materials, whether it's the gloves or the masks, that they're wiping down the tables. I think it's really important to be extremely transparent. You don't want someone coming to your establishment questioning whether or not you're wiping down the tables. You don't want to have someone coming to your restaurant literally with a measuring tape. I mean, who's to say someone's not going to do that? So you want to make sure you've got everything in order, because you might only have that one opportunity.
Can and maybe this might be outside of your purview, but I'll ask the question. Can a restaurant make it with doing half the business inside, half the number of customers that they had 4 months ago, economically?
I think it's going to be an absolute huge struggle, 100%. People don't realize that the margins are extremely small in a restaurant. In order to really survive, often you have to have multiple restaurants, and maybe have, an investment group or whatever behind you. I think if you have a large amount of outdoor space, with very few places have, especially, talking about West Hartford Center, a lot of people are going to be able to put 4, maybe 6, if you're lucky, 12 tables out there. It's easy to do the math if you think about it and how much you spend when you go out to eat. Let's say it's $100 a table. Think about how much the food cost is. Think about how much it costs to keep the lights on, how much it costs to pay a server, how much it costs to have a marketing company, whatever it is. These all need to be factored in. And so I think restaurants are going to, if they can open, if they have the outdoor space, they're going to try it. And then some are going to kind of hold back and see, if they're successful, if people are willing to go out.
Does the restaurant model as we know it today survive?
I think that's a really, that's a tough one to answer. I think it's very difficult today. I think years past, from what I've heard from the chefs that we work with, years past, the model worked really well. I think today, people expect a very high quality of food. They expect, farm fresh. They expect certain name brands from cheese or mushroom or whatever it is. I think the expenses are higher. For chefs, you need to make sure that you take care of your staff. We all know that, who doesn't want to get paid more, right? So you're paying your staff more, but you kind of have to keep your restaurant prices the same. How often do you go to a restaurant if it's your favorite and you want to order your chicken carbonara and you're like, wait, it used to be $14, now it's $18. So right. There's a cap on what a restaurant can push their prices to. People don't realize that.
Well, that's one of the things, Ronni. I mean, you and I have talked about in the past. You moved here 20 years ago. I moved here 16 years ago, and how this town has absolutely transformed in terms of the quality and quantity of restaurants. I mean, we are truly a destination. At least we were 60 days ago for some of the best dining in the state and maybe
Yeah.
even Northeast. So
And we want that to continue.
we do. We
We
do.
do. We do. We hope
We
it
have to
will.
be
We
and-
all
patient.
do.
You know, we have to be patient. We have to be supportive. And, you know, if you feel comfortable going out, then go out. If you don't, then, you know, maybe get some takeout, you know, or buy some gift cards. Or just, you know, let the restaurants know that you're trying to support them any way you can. You know, a lot of them are, you know, continuing to go out and support hospitals, you know, and delivering food to nursing homes, what have you. I mean, the restaurants are incredible. You know, you have to give them a lot of praise, even in this time when their budgets are you know, slim to none. They are still donating food. They are still donating their time, you know. And I would beg anyone to question whether or not your other, you know, whatever businesses are doing the same thing.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. And I think of Fork and Fire Naples Pizza right on the border of Farmington and West Hartford. And, you know, I know the owner personally, and they've been donating
Yeah.
probably as much food as they've been selling.
Yes.
So I don't want to speak for him and get myself in hot water, but they've been donating a lot of food to our first responders, to our frontline fighters, if you will, you know, in the medical field. So it does. And I knew, you know, asking that question, I knew it was a heavy question, and I was worried, you know, still am worried there might not be a good answer for that question. So
we've been trying when we do takeout to support, you know, kind of the really local places. I mean, I feel like in reporting you know, my business buzz, I've gotten to know pretty much all of the restaurant owners, especially the ones who've opened within the last 10 years or so.
Yeah.
And you know, we've tried to be spreading the love and ordering takeout from different places. We actually haven't gone back to the same place since this started, just in order to,
That's awesome.
you know, and we can't order takeout every night either. But we've been trying to support the ones that we feel like, you know, might not survive. And, you know, if our one meal on Saturday night will help, you know, I hope it will, because, you know, these are people, they're part of our community. They're a huge part of our community, and they really
help
are,
bring business,
you know,
to West Hartford. You know, they help bring traffic to West Hartford. They help put West Hartford on the map. You know, they're extremely valuable to our economic system.
And we even have a couple of new ones that were, you know, poised to open right when this or doing the build out to open. Actually, they're mostly still going on. I peeked inside Arethusa today, and that looks like, you know, the flooring's in, the counters are in. Mecca Noodle has a new sign up. So, I mean, there's at least a little, you know, I mean, it's going to be hard enough to get the ones that have an established brand kind of up and going again. And it's going to be probably even tougher if you're new to the market to open during this time.
One thing I could say about restaurant people, my first job was in a restaurant. My husband, when he was alive, had lots of restaurants, and I've worked in that food community, and they're really passionate people. So it's not just about going there and being in the dining room and eating dinner. I mean, restaurants, it's not just about the food. It's also about the social aspect and hospitality, and just to see how they're rallying together. And I really have just a good feeling that so many of us are craving that now. As much as we're getting takeout and we're all trying to help, we're missing that kind of connection that only a restaurant that can bring to us. So I think we're going to be really, you know, supportive, because we want to get back out there, especially in the center, and kind of break bread with everybody. I think I can't wait for that to happen. I'll be there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just, it's just, you know, we do takeout, and it's turned takeout or not eating home cooked food into a bigger deal, kind of like it was when I was a child. You know, when I was young, we couldn't afford to do that. And it's like, ooh, date night. You know, I remember early on in our marriage, date night. Oh, we get to go to a restaurant tonight. And it's kind of brought that back a little bit, but I do missing sitting in arugula sitting at Savoy, sitting at some of our favorite restaurants in town. And
I want to point out too that, a lot of these restaurateurs are worried. You talked about the experience. Think about now when you walk into a restaurant and everyone's wearing a mask. Part of that experience is letting your guard down. It's relaxing. It's sitting there and leaning back into the chair and just going, I made it. This is my reward.
For the next 2 hours. I totally get it. So I get it. So Ronni, any more questions? Because I feel bad, but I want to bring it back to Marci. I had a couple more questions for her, and then I've got Brant in the queue here when we're done here. And also, for those of you watching, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. Ronni and I will convey them for you. But so Marci, we were talking about, now another thing you've mentioned about being a superfood, and I love red, orange, and yellow peppers. So tell me a little bit about this, and then we're going to talk about your best friend here in a minute. See if you laugh.
What's really interesting about all the peppers? I mean, peppers are full of the vitamins, the A, the C, the K. We're going to have the lycopene in there. We got a lot of great things going on, but I talked about this yesterday. I don't know if you saw the show. There's newer research that came out that there's a really powerful antioxidant in a pepper called violaxanthin. And what that does is like our bodies, our cells, to say this, have mechanisms that could respond to an RNA virus, which is and it just so happens that that's what the COVID virus is. So I don't mean to direct everything to that, but that's why everyone now is like, we have to get healthy. We have to fight this. So it just so happens this really powerful antioxidant, our bodies have these mechanisms, but viruses are really smart. It's almost like, I said this yesterday, it's like it's like the Hunger Games. Everybody wants to win, and the virus is an organism, and that organism wants to win. It doesn't want to die. It wants to live. So it has created like suppressor genes to suppress our mechanisms that's trying to save us. Well, this antioxidant in red peppers, and I said this yesterday, I'm like, nature always wins, you guys, has come back, and what it does is actually can suppress the virus's suppressing gene. Do you see what I mean? It's kind of confusing. So this antioxidant is one-ing up this virus. And it's kind of cool how nature works together. I mean, this isn't an accident, all these things. And if we look at ecosystems, this is our own internal ecosystem, if you think of your health and nutrition, and it's really how it works. So if you take care of that and you really nurture it, you could be pretty powerful. Now, I hope I don't get hit with the virus. I'm not sure if I've been exposed to it or haven't been exposed to it or any of that. But like I said, I feel comfortable enough that I'm being safe and I'm wearing masks and I'm going out and doing everything you need to. But I'm not afraid to go out because I feel that I've put myself at least in the best place that I can be. And this is all we can do with food, is try to make your body the best and brightest that it can be. So red peppers are extremely powerful. I used the term yesterday. It's like, the peppers and this virus are in a molecular arms race, and the peppers win.
Only red peppers or other colors?
Well, actually, the other peppers, so red and orange, but this specifically has a higher amount in the red peppers.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, we're going to focus on red peppers then over here. All right. 5 foods to avoid. What are the top 5 foods in your world to avoid? Okay.
Well, anything, I'm going to say anything processed, any artificial color. So we're going to go down the red dyes to that. You know what? Stay away from, everybody knows this, but just stay away from white sugar. It's just toxic and to your body. Your body is not going to respond well to it. So use natural sugars. There's nothing the matter with sweeteners, but that processed white sugar, stay away from. Yesterday I mentioned one thing you want to stay away from is peanut butter. Peanuts have an aflatoxin. So yeah, I mean, almond butter, it's
Marci,
all
you
good.
just offended all 3 of us.
Yeah. But peanut, I know. It's
Love peanut butter.
It's something we eat and we think it's healthy. So just switch to almond butter. I made muffins this week with my grandson, and I made, he likes, instead of PB&J muffins, we make AB&J. So we use almond butter. Yeah, there's a specific mold that grows on peanuts that's been shown to increase incidence of cancer. They talk about it a lot in that book, The China Study, and a big research behind that. So stay away from that. Stay away from white sugar. Stay away from any of the additives, the processed, the artificial colorings. You know, there isn't a lot that is bad for you when you're eating whole and clean. Somebody asked me once, can we have butter? And I'm like, actually, you know, real clean organic butter is fine. We're doing all this in moderation, but a lot of these superfoods, when I talked about the superpower Mirepoix, the ginger root, the turmeric root, the garlic, they're fat soluble, which means if I don't ingest any fat, if I don't eat it with fat, or if I don't have some fat in my body, I can't absorb the nutrients. So all of it together, again, it's about the harmony you create by having all these foods as part of a healthy diet. So I don't often say to omit food. I tell people what to do to add to their diet and just focus on the cleaner foods. And then everything else falls away. I mean, obviously, the other food is Oreo cookies, John.
Yes. So one quick follow up on the peanut butter, because I'm officially going into a state of mourning.
I'm sorry.
How about peanuts?
Actually, peanuts bad. The mold grows on the peanut. So we make peanut butter from peanuts. So that's essentially why we So the mold is growing on the peanuts. So.
And that leads me to my next question. How about walnuts, cashews, all
They're
of
fine.
it? Okay.
Yeah, as long as they're produced, you know your source, you're buying appropriately. Yeah. Walnuts and almonds. Walnuts, I was talking about last week, have a antioxidant. It's called elagitannins. That's great for fighting off any type of, again, the respiratory things. Will boost those T cells that you need right now. So nuts are very healthy all around. Just peanuts aren't. Sorry, I know that's sad.
Okay, so and we've got Brant in the queue here. I promised him 6:45. We're running a couple minutes behind late. Ronni, any more questions? Any last comments? With these two?
No, I don't think so. Other than thank you, and I'll give a little plug for Jeannette's Instagram. That's on. I actually plugged it when I shared the information about this show. That you've got the Instagram live tonight with Scott Dolch. Is that how you pronounce his name? From the Connecticut Restaurant Association. Yes. So I know the restaurants are, hoping for indoor dining to return before June 20th, second phase. So I love the June 3rd possible date because that's my birthday. So I'd love to, although I'd actually love to eat outside on my birthday, but having the option to go inside too would be great.
Good. Well, thank you guys. This was great.
And while we're doing plugs,
it's some of my barbecue sauce. Yes.
This is the barbecue sauce, which I've not tried yet. And Ronnie, I actually have one for you. I've got two over here. So we got one for you.
Oh, yay.
Ronnie.
All right.
I'll get some to her.
So
I'll get
we'll get one over to you.
Great. I haven't had dinner tonight, so So I'm hungry having this conversation.
Marci, we can follow you, Marci, on your Facebook page.
Yes.
Marci Spellman Moreau.
So right now I'm just using my personal Facebook page, and I'm also on Instagram under Naked Baking Ladies.
Okay. All right, Ronni, hang on. We're going to say goodbye to our guests. We're going to bring in Brant Keller, and we're going to talk a little bit about. We're going to change topics here. We're going to talk about interest rates, which is not nearly as interesting. Sorry, Brant. No offense intended. Thank you. I'm going to drop you off.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, Marci. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Man, this is working beautifully. Look at this. I love technology.
All right.
There we go.
Prosperity Home Mortgage. And Brant helped me out because I'm not afraid to chase a good interest rate. We had Carl, who's the vice president of the Connecticut Realtors Association, on a few weeks ago. And we talked a little bit about interest rates, but he really wanted to leave that topic to an interest rate expert. Also want to talk a little bit about forbearance, and do I want forbearance or not want forbearance? So tell us a little bit about what's going on in the market. Are you seeing a lot of applications? What are the interest rates doing? What's happening?
Well, obviously prior to COVID, we were in a period of time where we were almost at historical lows, if not at historical lows. And then as soon as COVID hit, the interest rate market was under so much volatility of uncertainty, what's happening with COVID, and all these fears of the economy. And not only that was because of what the Fed was doing. And it's not necessarily what the Fed was doing, but what were they saying as well too. And one of the misnomers is that people feel that when the Fed lowers or raises interest rates, that affects mortgage rates. So everyone kept on saying to me, oh my God, our interest rates got lower by 1/4 to 1/2 point, almost a point. Can I get that lower rate? And that wasn't the case. We actually saw interest rates increase, sometimes from 3.375 to almost 4% in one day. But since then, for the last 3 weeks, I think we've started to see us come back to some normalcy, where rates are in the lower threes. 15-year mortgages are in the mid to upper twos, VA mortgages in the upper twos, FHA mortgages.
Wow.
Now, the only thing different, the only thing different now is the credit scores, credit criteria. So they're trying to limit risk on the servicer side and the investor side. So there has been some credit criteria that have been put in place. But for someone that's got a good credit score, a good sound down payment, and a sound borrower, it's a great time right now to either refinance or to purchase again with everything that's going on.
And
So
if you're going to refinance, what at what point is it worth the cost of refinancing? How much lower of a rate do you need to get to make it really worthwhile?
Oh, that's a good question. And when I consult with someone, it's more of what your needs are, what's your benefit that you're trying to accomplish. And then from there, if it's truly just a lower rate, it's a matter of looking at what's my cost, what's going to cost me to get a lower rate, and what's my savings. So everyone's like, okay, if the interest rate has to go below 1% of what I'm currently having. So if I have a 4% loan rate, it needs to be 3% before I refinance. Well, that might not necessarily be the case. We just look at what the cost is and when I'm going to make up that cost. If you can make up that cost generally in 2 years, it's a good time to refinance. But each person is different. And so it's a matter of looking at what their wants and their needs are.
So let me throw a couple of hypotheticals at you, Brant. I'm, 26 years old.
Mhm.
I have a
Wow,
good job.
John, you look a little old for your age
I
there.
wish, right? I'm gainfully employed. I'm just getting married. I'm gonna buy my first house.
Yep.
I've been laid off because of COVID-19. So I've got the income from the PPP. I think that's right.
Yep.
And my prospects for reemployment are very, very good, and my credit score is good. Can I buy a house?
Unfortunately, at this time, no. What's happening is
Not
if you
looking for that answer.
Yeah, I know. I want to give some good answers. But what is typically happening if you are unemployed, whether you're furloughed and not knowing about when coming back, or a true unemployment, we will not lend on that right now. There's too much risk involved. Now, if you come back, you could show that once you have a new job, sometimes with just even contracts, we can lend as though you have a certified employment contract that you can do it. So it's not prohibiting for you that you have to wait a little bit longer time once you start an employment, new employment back up. Just right now, there's too much risk involved in the secondary market for those that unfortunately are unemployed.
Okay, I'm 2 years into a mortgage and I got laid off.
Yep.
I'm current on the mortgage, but
Yep.
I don't have the income now. What can you do, or what do I do?
If you're talking more on the forbearance side,
Yeah.
what's happening with forbearance, that's unfortunately a double-edged sword right now. And when coming from forbearance, it was a thing to help the consumer out, where they can delay the payments. Fannie has actually just brought in some new initiative yesterday on directive of how to handle post-forbearance and the repayment of things. But for those that are looking to purchase a home or refinance, if any of their mortgages is listed on the credit report as in forbearance, there's risk involved and the lenders will not lend for that person. Now, unfortunately, what's happening, even if you're making timely payments, And we unfortunately have seen some servicers, without the request of the consumer, slap forbearance on their credit. Whether it be you have an account with Bank of America or TD Bank, whatever, they would put it on. And so it's prohibiting some consumers for refinancing or buying, unfortunately, right now.
So define forbearance for the sake of this discussion.
Forbearance is basically allowing you the ability to push your payments down the road. And it's usually set up a plan with your servicer. And some of them have it where it's a 90 or 120 day period. Even some of them 180, and I think now you can even go up to 120. A 12-month period. And for the most part, it is one where sometimes the consumer with the servicer will have to make one lump sum payment to get whole again once that forbearance time is up. Others now with the Fannie's Directive initiative is pushing that to the end, where you're able to basically push out your mortgage for whatever it was that you missed the forbearance on. My suggestion for most people is, if you can make your payment, that's the first thing you should be able to and want to do, is try to eliminate going into forbearance. Because that'll, unfortunately, I think, if it's listed on your credit report, and if you're looking to purchase, it could effectively negatively affect you. But it's a great time to buy right now with interest rates as low as they are. Yes, there is less inventory, but demand is strong. The prices are staying solid. I think after May 20th, or when we start to open back up again, you're going to see the housing market start coming alive again. And with interest rates as low as they are still, it's going to be a busy. I think it's going to really open up. And what you need to make sure is, if you got pre-approved prior to COVID, you need to look at getting pre-approved again, because a lot of the programs have changed, the credit scores have changed, and you want to make sure that you're still in a good position. And like I said, with how much demand there's going to be, one of the things that we offer, the Buyer Advantage program, where we actually give a full approval prior to looking at a contract. When you look at a contract, you can put it in instead of pre-approval, it's an approval. You've done your due diligence. You can let the seller know, hey, I'm done. I just need a contract, appraisal, title, and homeowners. So you're almost like a cash buyer. Put yourself in a good position, because I feel it's going to turn around. It's going to be a great market. Interest rates are going to stay at these levels through now, definitely, I think, through the fall time from what I'm seeing, technical data. But I think don't be scared about it. There's other ways that we do things to make it safe for everyone and get things done.
So I
Ronni,
typically do. Oh, I was just going to say, so I, for years, have done like the real estate transactions. I've posted them on the WeHad.com site. I actually haven't been doing that since COVID, and I was behind. So now I'm really far behind. So I'm probably just going to pick a date and start up again. But so I've kind of lost a feel for how real estate sales have been going in this area. What's your feel about how the market is and how the prices are holding?
Well, from the data that I've been seeing from GAR.
Do you have any feel for that?
Yeah, what I've been seeing from GAR and just locally is that prices are holding steady. So we aren't worried about the price level going down. But yes, inventory is down. The number of units being sold is down. People are waiting to put their house on the market to sell. But that will just increase.
That's what I'm hearing from the real estate side, is inventory is thin and stuff is selling. Carl Lance told me a story yesterday. He's in on a house, but he didn't get it. I think he said there were 11 offers. House was on the market 2 days.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah,
so,
I just helped out a client, and they were going to put a little bit lower offer, and I'm like, you know what? This house has already had multiple showings, and there looked like 3 or 4 offers coming in, and they put in an offer of $5,000 above asking price. They got the house.
nice to
But
hear.
that's
everything else we're working, but nice to hear on the real estate and mortgage side. So, Ronni, anything? I'm sorry. What's that? Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think you're going to see everything as business as normal, except that we have more precautionary measures when you go out with the COVID. That's it.
Yeah. Well, normalcy is a good thing. I'm looking forward to getting back there. So keeping people safe. So, Brant, we are up against it. We have a hard stop at 7 o'clock. We're about a minute shy. I'm sorry we got you up here a minute late. Tell people how to contact you if they have any questions on their mortgage. I think, try to help them out.
Yeah, you can contact me at my email address, brant.keller@phmloans.com. Shoot me an email. Do free pre-approvals, free consultation. A lot of stuff can get done online, really quick and easy. And if you're one of the lucky ones, you might be able to get pre-approved and get a loan that we don't offer any pay stubs, W-2s, tax returns, or maybe even an appraisal. So that helps speed up the process. Technology that's the one good thing coming above with COVID is the technology and what's being implemented in our industry.
Give us that email one more time.
Yep, brant.keller@phmloans.com.
Okie dokie. Brant, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, Brant.
Thank you, as always. These are a lot of fun. We're going to have another one next Tuesday night. We can't announce the guests because we have to get clearance from a communications department for one of them. So, but you're going to want to stay tuned, assuming we get these guests. It's going to be pretty incredible. I sound like Donald Trump here. They really are very strong guests, true experts on COVID-19, frontline employees, people you're going to want to hear from in terms of the latest of what's happening. So, Ronni, any last words before I say goodbye?
Just thanks for watching.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. For Ronni Newton and WeHa News, I'm John Lyons. We'll see you next Tuesday night, 6 o'clock.
And now I'm going to eat because I got so hungry listening to that food discussion.
I know. Yeah, Marci, we're still live, but Marci's amazing. You got to watch one of her cooking shows. She's unbelievable. She's so talented. It's just incredible. It's a lot of fun to watch. So on that note, I'm going to sign us out, gang.